Today on episode 24, Skinwalker Ranch. Stay tuned. That's right, episode 24 is upon us, and we're discussing the Skinwalker Ranch, and Shay is laughing hysterically over here. I just want to say, the whole time you guys were talking about setting up the episode, blah, 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 I'm like, I'm going to go full screen, and I'm going to do this the right way for the first time in 80 episodes. And wouldn't you know, I went live and didn't go full screen. So that's a good way to start. So, hey, welcome back, Shay. Shay is back on the show.
You. Hello.
What's going on, Tom? How are y'all doing? Good.
So,
I'm good.
I had a funny revelation while we were doing a little countdown thing, and I just want to ask, can you still see the cameras like it says on my screen when you go to the cut down? Because I'm going like this, and I'm dancing.
Oh, yeah.
I have no idea. You can. Oh, cool. All right.
Yeah, I was doing the same thing. I was bobbing around like this and stuff because at the bottom I can see what you guys are doing. So,
You can't see it, Shay?
No.
Oh,
I had no idea.
because she's got the code. That's why. Okay. I forgot.
So yeah.
So today we're doing the Skinwalker Ranch, and you guys going to tell the story, and I'm just going to give some trivial knowledge and cause trouble and you might knowing self. So
yeah, trying a little new format today, and I'm really excited about this. This is one I wanted to talk about since we started this paranormal podcast. I just find it fascinating. I was telling them right before the show that it's sort of like I've always been into the paranormal, but more like ghosts, stuff like that, like hauntings and demons and stuff, and not a big alien UFO, alternate dimension, cryptids type of guy. But then we started doing the show, and I started really becoming fascinated by that, and really the story of the Skinwalker Ranch is what got me so fascinated by it, because this is just. It's just a wild place. I would love to get there someday. I know it's not really possible under the ownership now, but
unless you're Post Malone.
Yeah, unless you're
that douche is able to go.
You know, unless you're Post Malone. But
I hate him.
I'll just call him.
I can't stand him.
I don't know anything. I couldn't even name a song by him. So,
neither can I. It's the way he looks.
It's I'm not a fan of face.
Good job.
So, but yeah, so today we're going to talk about this. We're talking about the Skinwalker Ranch, or it's really the Sherman Ranch, and it is located about 512 acres southeast of Ballard, Utah. Now, like I said, its name is Sherman Ranch, but they call it Skinwalker Ranch, and that comes from the Navajo Skinwalker legend. And so it's in and I'm gonna butcher this, Uinta County, bordering the Ute Indian Reservation in Utah. So Uinta County, I don't know, or Uinta. But and this giant ranch, it's like a hot spot for just all sorts of paranormal activity, I guess. I didn't want to say paranormal activity because of the movie, but that's what it is. And there has been over 100 incidents documented at the ranch, including vanished or mutilated cattle. And it's this mutilated cattle, it's very bizarre because there's very little to no blood around him, and like the cuts are very surgical. There's also been UFO sightings, orb sightings, Large animals with red eyes. I've heard some people almost compare them to like a dire wolf or something, and bullets just do not affect them. I was one of the stories, a guy, I mean, he unloaded his gun into this creature and it didn't budge. Cryptids to little beings, and one that I can only describe as sort of like the puckwudgie around here. I've seen an explanation of a little being like that. And
Stop.
there's all sorts of like invisible and magnetic fields and yeah, just sorts of craziness here. So.
Hey, did you know that it was also nicknamed the UFO Ranch?
I
No, I
just
didn't
saw that
actually.
actually.
Yeah,
I didn't know that.
That's ironically how I know it as, because mostly it was UFOs, and that's what I remember the whole stupid thing being about. And as you were saying about the bullets, I was reading that they were saying that large animals were being struck by bullets, but they were unscathed. And again, my thought is, all right, how do you know they're being struck by bullets if they're unscathed? Unless you shoot them point blank. And why are you shooting animals point blank to begin with? Unless you're putting out of his misery. But yeah, that doesn't jive with me. Like, as far as, oh, I shot him and it didn't affect him. Well, how do you even hit him? Especially if there's no evidence of him being hit.
Well, the one that I was talking about where the guy unloaded his gun, I mean, apparently, like, in the story, he was only about 10, 12 feet away from it.
Is that what he said?
Yeah. In that story, there's a bunch of he's not the only one, but there's a bunch of them. But
was the animal moving?
10, 12. It was walking towards them, and that's when he started unloading the gun into it. And about 10,
I think it
12.
maybe it's a really bad shot.
Yeah, you're right. Could be. I believe it was near dusk, so maybe he did miss. But I feel at like 10, 12 feet, that's close enough where you could tell you hit some.
Yeah, but how? I don't know though, because there's no markings.
True.
You know what I mean? Like I mean, you assume you hit it. I mean, I understand what he's saying. I mean, if you're 2 feet in front of me and I shoot a gun right at you in your chest, well, I'm assuming it hits you.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I mean, there is some leeway there, theoretically.
Oh yeah. Yeah. There's leeway with all of this. I mean,
but I'm not. Yeah. I mean, 12 feet away. To me, that's better evidence. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Than saying in general, like, oh yeah, I shot him 100 yards away and it just bounced off him. Like, how do you know that?
Yeah. Yeah.
I'll give you the 12 feet. All right, you guys keep telling the story because my dog is whining and wants to go outside yet again because there are dogs and cats outside. So I'll be back.
Okay, sounds good.
Great to have a dog.
So, as far as these things that I mentioned, Shay, do you have any sort of stories on them, or
maybe less of a story, and I think I just kind of want to get your take on it. Everything that I'm seeing is I really kind of wanted to dive into the UFO sightings.
Yeah, let's do it.
But I'm not finding a lot of specific information, and I'm not I don't know if you have more than I do, but I see like dates, but I'm not, anything I click on doesn't tell me what they're seeing or anything like that. So what are they seeing?
The one that, and this is this is actually from a podcast I had listened to a while back, that a claim, and I don't know how accurate this is because I do know this podcast, they don't make stuff up, but they take some liberties, I think, on this podcast. Mm-hmm. But that there was one where they saw some being, and I don't have a date on it or anything because I'm going back off memory. But they saw the aliens come off the ship and walk towards a cave that's on the property. And when the person tried to get closer and started going towards that where the ship had been, the ship was gone, and then they had there was nothing there. It, like, essentially disappeared. So that's the only sort of specific. I mean, I've heard a lot about just, you know, UFO sightings in the sky and stuff like that. So is that what you were getting at? I'm sorry if it wasn't. So.
Yeah, no, that's actually what I was trying to ask, because like I said, I wasn't finding a lot of specific, but I feel like you found about what I found, but like really just kind of that same centered around the being walking off the ship. But in my head, for some reason, I have the red-eyed animal. For some reason, in my head is just affiliated with that, and I don't quite know where I saw that, but I can't get that out of my head.
I mean,
yeah. So I guess one of the things that kind of stood out to me is when you talk about the cattle mutilations and the cattle going missing and stuff like that. One thing I struggle with, even watching the show, is at what point does it become abuse that you keep bringing animals to live this place that they are getting hurt, and I don't just mean for food. I mean, you are continuously bringing animals to this place, and they are getting harmed and hurt or missing or worse or whatever for entertainment purposes at this point. Like, that's one thing that I really kind of think got me a lot.
Great point. I never really kind of put that together like that, but that is a great point.
Well, are they bringing them there as bait, or they're bringing them there as
for the show they did. For the show they did, but I mean, after decades upon decades of your cattle getting slaughtered, not for food, I feel like, and it's not a gentle thing that is being done to them. It's a meticulously, weirdly well planned, disgusting thing that's happening to them. I mean,
now, are there still Native American tribes in that area?
Yes.
Yeah, because it does border the Ute Indian reservation. So
are the Indian tribes okay with them being there?
I mean, it borders it, so I don't know. Like, I've never seen anything as far. That's a good question.
I'm not accusing them of anything, but like, it just occurred to me that like, if the Native Americans are like pissed off that they're doing all this stuff and they're messing up the land, and they, you know, a lot of Native American tribes are very superstitious, and if they're like, you know, holy Jesus. You know, I wonder if they're doing something to the cattle to try to persuade them not to, and actually having the reverse happen. I'm not saying that's what's happening, but
yeah,
it's more of a reasonable thing than aliens are coming down and slicing open cattle.
Well, there's a great point in there, in that they upset that they're there because it's not technically on the reservation, but as we know, I mean, we've took all this land from the Native Americans. So that's a great point that I had never thought of, Roy, is that they could be upset because, you know, that probably was part of their land at one time, and then it was, you know, taken by the white man, and I'm
sorry, I didn't even cut you off. Data step further, you know, here in Massachusetts we have the Pukwudgies, for instance. You know, if you believe in curses and being able to summon creatures or whatever, theoretically, why couldn't the Native Americans summon a creature, and the creature itself is, again, mutilating the animals on the Native Americans' behalf?
I'm down for any theory. My one problem with that theory is, that, as we know, Native Americans are very, very spiritual and very, very about the land. Yep. You know, when they kill an animal, they use every part of it. You know, they're using the skin. They're making jewelry out of the bones, or, you know, using it as some sort of monetary thing. I mean, they use every little thing.
Yeah, that is true.
But that would be but that doesn't mean, you know what I mean? It's still something that I just never thought of. But
Yeah,
that
it's a
is
good point, though.
one thing, just knowing what we know about Native Americans, that like all life is sacred, even food. You know, it's
Right.
it's a gift from the gods, so to speak. So, but that's a really good point. It's a really, really good point. So, what I really like is like the cryptids that I've heard. You know, I mentioned earlier a little being that kind of that the only comparison I can make is like a puckwudgie. I've heard, you know, Bigfoots, direwolves, stuff like that. Have you guys heard any, or Shay, have you heard any thing about cryptids being there?
So I again, just what you saw, the little creature that I had the same thought. Sounds like a puckwudgie. I've heard this. I saw small amounts of things about like possible like Bigfoot or something like that. But it's funny we're talking about cryptids now. The thing with the glowing red eyes,
Yes.
and then just the cattle mutilation and stuff like that. I know again doesn't 100% fit the area, but neither does a puckwudgie. But honestly, it screams Wendigo to me.
Ooh.
Yeah, right. I know. So
That's why I love when you're on the show, when we're doing it with Shay. Man, you always have something that fucking blows my mind.
I'm so glad.
It's so always something that is just like, wow, why didn't I didn't put those together? But I mean, being on Native American land, you know, we know that
everything. Yeah.
You know,
well, where's the Wendigo coming from, though? Are they missing people?
Well, I mean, yes, they have to be somewhere. I mean, everything else that goes on in this ranch, how are there not people missing?
Yeah,
I don't. It's you know, but yeah.
I haven't heard of people being missing though on
it's
the ranch. I don't know. I'm leaving to you guys because I have no idea.
No, I haven't seen of anything about anyone that they mentioned missing. But again, I mean, you add in the Native American folklore and.
All right, Shay. Then what you have to do, Shay, you have to go to Utah, and you have to do an investigation on the area surrounding missing people. No, I'm being serious. Missing people, because what if they're missing people in Utah? And you know what?
What if I become a missing part? Oh, I get to be a Wendigo. I'm cool with that.
Oh yeah, she wants to be a Wendigo. Oh yeah. Why am I not surprised?
Do you know what like the official cryptid of Utah is though?
What?
Wendigo?
No, I wish. The Bear Lake Monster.
The Bear Lake Monster.
Bear, yeah, like BEAR, like. So it's different reports, but it's basically a giant crocodile fish-like thing that people. I know, I'm sorry.
I love it though. I love it.
But people want to like try to catch it, but no one can. But there's been sightings. But I see it described as a giant crocodile or an alligator with a fish mouth. And I'm so intrigued by it. I want to see it so bad. I might go too.
I know what I'm doing a deep dive on later tonight.
Well, Shay, let's call up the Skinwalker Ranch, see if we can get out there to take a look around the ranch. We can investigate.
I'm actually on their website. I'm actually on their website. They have a website.
Hey, we're a paranormal team. Can we come out and you know, we can do it? That'd be kind of. I'd go to Utah.
I would go. I don't really want to deal with the owner. I mean, as we
that's the problem.
That you have to deal with that weirdo. But I would love to go. I mean, this place fascinates me.
I'm more fascinated about this fish, Bear Lake monster thing. I think kind of cool. And to what Shay was saying about the Wendigo, you know, it's you know, as I was not shooting down a theory, but adding issues with it.
Yeah.
Who's to say there aren't missing people that is the reason in that area that has nothing to do with the ranch, but are becoming Wendigos? And again, if you listen to this episode, we have a Wendigo episode. I don't know what episode it was, but we have a Wendigo episode. So if you want to go back and check that out, that's a very good episode. and explains a lot of what we're discussing today. But
One of my favorites.
yes, back to what you were saying though. People are missing, turning into Wendigos, going to the ranch, being drawn there by something. And all that energy there.
Yep.
Well, you just add another hypothesis.
Yeah, man. That's what I love about this too. It's like because there's so many different things that have been seen, and there's just so many different sort of theories and ideas, and and just stuff like Wendigo, and just all this stuff. Another thing that's observed, and this is one of Roy's favorite, orbs. Orbs. So I see my thing and with orbs is it just could be anything with an orb, and it's like we all know that light plays tricks on you and stuff like that. But what are your guys' feeling on orbs?
So I had an experience like 20 some odd years ago that honestly it's the only time I've ever really been like, I literally can't explain this any other way. But the thing is, I didn't see it in a photo lens. I didn't see it in a picture. I didn't see it through glass or in a mirror. I was down the
Is Tom frozen or is it me?
What?
Is Tom frozen or was it me?
Am I frozen?
I don't think so. No, you guys are fine.
Yeah,
He's frozen up.
I think
my Wi-Fi is acting up.
Yeah, I think because I'm on full bars.
Yeah, me too.
It's made my ear just popped on. So if you pop out, just ignore me. I'm hardwired too. I don't know why
this. Can you still hear me, Tom?
Yeah, you're fine.
You're fine.
Yeah.
Just going.
We were coming out of I was with somebody else, and we were coming out of a restaurant like down the Cape, and again 25 years ago, whatever. And he is standing on the driver's side of the car, and I'm standing on the passenger side of the car, about to get in, about to open the doors. Neither of us drank, did anything hallucinogenic or anything. I swear on my life. And something catches my eye, and I look up, and it's just this ball, like this, looks like the size of a softball, 50 yards away or so, up in the sky. And I'm like, what the hell is that? Thankfully, the person I was with also saw it, so I felt a little less crazy, thankfully. But all of a sudden, it came towards us, and I shit you not, I wish I had some way of catching this, but it came towards us, it stopped, and it slowed down over the top of the car, and I swear, it stood still between our heads for like, it felt like forever, but it was like 3 seconds, and it turned a little bit, and then it shot off.
Wow.
And I've never seen anything. When they're in photos, half the time I'm like, that's bull crap or whatever, but I've never seen anything like that before or again. And I can't find a phenomenon in Google abilities to explain what I saw.
Yeah. So because I've never heard of like most orb stories I hear, it's just like, oh yeah, I saw this little thing like an orb, and they're like, it's like an orb, and it's like, well, that could be any. See, something like that. Okay, now I'm on board. Because it's like
blew my mind.
You explain that, and two people experiencing it, and like you said, stop like right there in between you guys, and see that's. Yeah, that's got a lot.
Well, and that's the key. It's like when you have people. What?
No, we said anything.
That's the key. I've had people come up to me knowing I'm a paranormal investigator and will show me pictures of like, these thousands of little dust balls floating around a room, and they didn't see it when they were there, but it was in the picture. And I'm like, well, the experts that I've talked to in the field that I've been looking to come across have basically told me that a lot of orbs, something like a ball of light, or it's still kind of like a roundish shape, and you can see it with the naked eye. If you're not seeing it with the naked eye, you can be rest assured it's nothing.
Yeah.
But if you can see it with the naked eye, and more than one person sees it, what is it?
Yeah,
that's the key. What is it?
Oh, that's good to know. So if you're not seeing it, if it's only popping up on camera, then
Yeah,
essentially
it's. I mean, theoretically, you could have missed it,
yeah,
but
Yeah.
but
you're not going to see like 1,000 of them. You're not going to
Yeah.
see like 1,000 spirits saying, "Hey, let's all party at Roy's house." No, you'll see like one floating around.
that's a great point.
Solid.
It's like I didn't know that personally, so that's a good point. Yeah,
Which
I
is why
struggle.
99% of them. So that dumb.
No, I was just saying I've always struggled with orbs, but Shay's experience, yeah, that gives me pause and then like, okay, so what is this? So
Yeah, I generally agree with you guys with the pictures. It's dust.
Yeah.
It's almost always gonna be dust, but that
Yeah.
I can't wrap my head around.
yeah, that's pretty crazy. So and then this one, and this caused some controversy in the or debates, I should say, in the recent Netflix series Skinwalker Ranch, whatever it's called, I don't really know, which was cool, but had a lot of problems too with it. But the these invisible sort of magnetic fields and stuff. What do you guys think about that? Or or do you have anything else on that?
So it's the ranch is about 2-3 miles away from a military base.
Mm-hmm.
And it's and I feel like as far as like the different like radiation, I don't mean to keep saying the different radiation readings, the magnetic readings, all that stuff, I feel like it could be affiliated with that somehow, because we don't know what kind of testing is going on or anything like that. And I know at least some of the UFO sightings were seen over that base, so I don't know if maybe that magnetic pole is somehow related to something that may or may not have gone on at that base. But
Yeah, if there is something going on, there's probably a connection, I would say. There's definitely a lot of energy, a lot of electricity there. So something's causing that, whether it be from the military base, them dumping something. It's the military. It's a government. You can never trust them. God only knows what they've been doing there and what they will. Yes. Yeah. And I was going to say that, like, did they use that place and those people as test dummies for something, thing for war? I wouldn't put it past that government. Wouldn't put it past them as far as I could throw them. You're in Utah, middle of nowhere. Perfect place to do something like that because no one's going to know about it. And then all of a sudden, all this crazy stuff starts popping up.
And the government does try some crazy things. I was just reading about some of the patents that they have through the naval office and stuff, and it's like reality altering sort of technology, and it's only patents, and a patent's just an idea, and you have to do there's some little testing on it, but just some crazy stuff, whether it's cloaking to just supersonic speeds that so I mean that's as good a theory as any. So I guess then the incident that they were having on that show, and I know we're not really going into the show, but you guys are seeing it with those guys and remember that where you had the skull issue there and stuff, and they thought it might be related to that. What are you guys' thoughts on that?
It's the medical incident. Just medical. Just happened to be there.
You think it's coincidental?
Yeah. No doubt in my mind.
Really? Oh, okay.
The radiation sickness, though, they were getting nauseous, and then they were finding
that's because of all the radiation there,
on their clothes. Yeah. So like that feels like it.
That's alarming.
There,
it's like they don't make it delusional. It'll make you see things. It'll make you think you're shooting something with a gun and that you're not really shooting. Like it causes all kinds of chaos.
So you think
which is why I have a big issue with the story, because it's too hard to tell what's could be real and what is just craziness, because medically there's just too much going on there that's borderline dangerous.
Yeah. So you guys think that's more than likely sort of tied into this military base?
Me personally, I do.
Yeah, I think it just makes sense. Or something, not even necessarily something that is on the military base, but something having to do with something that they did, or even if it's something that's under the ground under the ranch because of them, I think it is somehow affiliated with the base. I think it just has to be.
Well, I haven't finished the TV show, but weren't they saying about halfway through, like they think something's under the ground, possibly or something? They had some guy come out, and that's where I stopped watching it. Some guy came out, and he could
remember the owner
drones.
didn't want anybody digging. Remember,
yeah, which I thought was ridiculous. If you're gonna be trying to do scientific stuff, you have to do that. The fact, and that told me right there that it was probably all fake. The show wasn't going to be anything real about the show. That just made me give up on the show entirely. Because you don't go into that without knowing you might have to dig. They knew. That's all for the show.
Well, yeah, because I mean, the guy, he dug, the one guy dug or digged, and he, had that issue with his head and the swelling and, hospitalized and all of that. And then from that point on, it was just no digging at all. No, and it's like.
And me being a skeptic, I was like, all right, he says it was from the digging. How do we know it was actually from the digging? How do we know they even dug? It's like it's when they refused to dig, it raised a lot of questions about the people that are on the ranch.
Well, yeah, that was funny because the one guy is like the outsider investigating was so frustrated, being like, "What do you mean we can't dig? We gotta be able to, and be like, you came in and you wanted me to come in and from a scientific angle, and in order to do that, I need to do this." So,
and I liked him for that, and then I had issues with him because he's like, "All right, we won't do it." I'm like, you can't do your job if you can't do everything you want to do. So now your job, no matter what you find, it's going to be incomplete now because you can't dig. So it's like, why are you staying there? And theoretically, I could say because he wants to see blah, blah, blah. But
because he's getting paid by Netflix. That's why he stayed there. I mean, let's be honest. They're getting money for this, and that's why that's why he's able to sort of, okay, I won't do that because what are you gonna do?
And which and you actually hit it on the head, which actually puts the whole investigation into question. Because they're going to hype things up just for the show. Like there was that scene where they got that energy from the balloons. They found that there was energy floating in the air up there. I'm like, yeah, okay. It's like, you're full of shit. There's no way there's energy up there. No way.
We know that they do anything for a show. It's like every show does it. We talked about it last episode. They punch it up and stuff like that. We know that. I mean. And like I said, the show was problematic, very, very, very problematic. It was just, but I thought we should, at least acknowledge some of the going on.
Of course, you gotta acknowledge it.
So I guess we should say this too. So because of the show, the guy that I called weird earlier, he's the current owner. It's Brandon Fugel, 46. He bought it 2016 for $4.5 million. The previous owner had bought it. Robert Bigelow had only bought it for $200,000 and then sold it for $4.5 million. And,
that's amazing.
Yes, the new owner is Brandon Fugel. He claims to want to get to the bottom of this and come from a very scientific sort of slant, but he's not. There's a lot of problems in the way that he operates it. But again, the show isn't really about them today. The show is more about the ranch, but just a little bit. So, what else?
What you got, Shay?
So I really like the cryptid theory and everything. I love cryptids. It's so interesting to me. So obviously I'm going back to the cattle mutilation and
Yep.
again because the first thing that came to my mind was actually the grunch. Do you know what a grunch is?
Nope.
No, it's a crunch.
Okay, so the grunch is a chupacabra-like creature in New Orleans, but that actually kind of brings it, to the States. So
Okay.
it's if we're gonna go grunch, I mean, a chupacabra it means goat sucker. They drink livestock blood and stuff like that. But some of the different depictions that you hear people claiming they see with this red-eyed monster kind of fit a grunch, because one of the claims I actually saw talked about a lower hanging head and like it was almost crouched, and that would be like a chupacabra, like a grunch. But I don't know about the glowing red eyes, but I just wanted to bring that up because it popped into my head and I like cryptids. So
No, that's really cool. I had never heard of a grunge. I just kind of looked it up a little, and I'll check it out more later. No, that's really cool.
Now, what do you guys think of all the UFO sightings there?
I love it.
You love it. Now, and it's funny that like we're doing this episode because I'm not a UFO guy, but I was watching something on YouTube recently, and it made me realize something that they had said, that like more now than ever, the government is admitting to UFOs.
Yeah.
Like they're releasing more and more stuff of Air Force, military, Navy, of finding these crafts. They have no idea what they are, don't know why they're there, and then vanishing or just taking off and flying away. And more they're releasing that now. So it makes you wonder, could the ranch be tied to aliens? I don't think so, but it makes you wonder.
No, I mean, they have been releasing a lot of videos, and then you have that Harvard scientist Avi Loeb there that thought Umama was alien technology. He works at Harvard. He's very well respected, and essentially claims that aliens have made contact for a while now, and they come down just to thwart any sort of nuclear wars that are about to happen. Because he claims that there's a space federation, alien,
we have a federation now.
A galaxy federation,
past president
of different, from different planets, different galaxies, whatever, and they're sort of a peaceful people, and they. That's the only time they come down now really is to make sure that that's not going to happen. And some people claim that's why Donald Trump created the Space Force, because he, of course, being Trump, pew pew, with his fucking guns and his fucking red hat and his fucking nonsense, is just like, yeah, we're going to kill these aliens, pew 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 pew. Fucking.
Whose logo is the Star Trek logo, by the way.
Yes,
it's 90% the Star Trek logo.
So that's like one claim, is that he wanted to tell everybody and they wouldn't let him. That's a claim from that scientist too, that he wanted to tell the public that aliens were real. They wouldn't allow it.
Because that's the one time Trump kept his mouth shut. And that's the one thing I was hoping when he got in the office, because I don't believe in the whole black book thing of the president scared or whatever necessarily. I do believe that they're passed down top secret stuff. And it's like, if that's real, wouldn't it be great if Trump just said, you know what, I'm not going to tell everybody all our dish. And I was hoping he would go in the news and not telling anybody and just not spewing stuff. Kennedy's still alive,
But
Nixon's an alien.
Those videos to be released.
Yeah.
He did authorize those ones that you were talking about. So.
Yes, he did. It's the one thing I give him credit for.
Yeah, I don't give him anything. So what I was going to say, but yeah, the cryptids, to your point, Shay, that's what fascinates me the most, especially like that sort of puck-rudgy creature, because I've heard like something where and this reminded me of either the Pukwudgie or a trickster, where it was trying to get a person to, it was like telling a person to come like this,
Yeah.
come towards it, and then it disappeared into that cave that I had mentioned earlier. So, yeah, that's what fascinates me. I mean, I find it all, the it's all really cool, but the cryptid aspect of it.
What do you guys think is the biggest potential evidence of going ons at the Skinwalker Ranch? Do you think it's cryptids? Do you think it's aliens? Do you think it's UFOs? Do you think it's paranormal? Do you think it's just a load of crap?
Well, I mean, I think that all falls under the umbrella of paranormal, though, because it's not normal, and
Right.
I feel like whatever it is definitely not normal. And I don't feel like it's all 100% media hype. I don't feel like it's all for money, because it's been going on long before anybody knew what Facebook was or anything like that. UFO sightings from World War II era. So I feel like they're all really just contributing in some way, even if it's just adding to the feel of it, or if it's factually supporting evidence, which not everything is. But my personal favorite, I think the cryptids gives it that interesting. That's what I feel like might be the biggest part of it for me, at least.
What about you, Tom?
Yeah, I feel like what gives it its sort of legitimacy in like this pop culture, or within our culture today, and the interest level has to do with the UFOs and the cattle mutilations. But for me, it's really about the cryptids. That's how I feel. But those other things, I think that's what sort of gives it some, especially the cattle mutilations. I think that's what gives it some sort of legitimacy, as far as when people looking into it, because that stuff really did. We know that happened. We know that they were mutilated, and it was in a very sort of precise way where it was. It's hard to explain, So, but for me,
this is my personal hypothesis. This is what I think is going on there. I think the only thing that's concrete is the cattle mutilations. And I think with all the energy, electricity, the poison, electrical currents that are going on there, it's driving people mad. And there are people going out there mutilating animals. That's what I think is going on. I think 90% of it is just. I think it's just too much electrical stuff going on there that worries me, as far as like people being delusional, people being crazy. That it's hard for me. Now, I'm not saying everything, obviously, but I think that the all the poison, electrical currents is cause people to go mad, and they're probably mutilating.
That's fair.
The animals.
That's as solid as any theory out there.
Well, I think
it is.
It's more than theory, because you have high EMF that it's been proven to make people see things, do things, hear things.
Yeah, that's why it's sick. Solid.
Yeah,
I think that's solid. What about you, Shay?
I got totally distracted myself. What was that? I apologize. Say that one more time.
So Roy just sort of gave his theory as to what's going on with the radiation and making people crazy, and that's sort of leading into all these other sort of things. And it's
causing it all. I think it's causing all the delusions. It's causing people to go mad, and people are mutilating animals because they've gone mad. That's what I think is going on.
Now, I have a crazy theory, but I'd like to hear what you think is going on, Shay.
So, I feel like I agree with with parts of what Roy is saying. And I definitely think the energy can absolutely have something to do with it. Do I think it's all people doing the cattle mutilations just from the longevity and the span of generations that this has been going on, and the fact that it's happening the same way, the lack of blood, the perfect incisions, the this, the that, it's all too similar to really have spanned that long of amount of time. But I do agree that I like the radiation and just the sheer energy of the place is probably doing something to something causing that. But I definitely think the energy can do that, and energy itself it increases paranormal activity. Everything feeds off of energy. Everything comes from energy. It's I definitely I like that. I like that other than the people doing it. I do like that.
You don't like people killing people, killing animals?
Well, not for no reason. If you're doing it for food or
Yeah.
or something, but I agree. But if it's just mutilating for mutilation's sake, it's
Well, the problem is like this has been going on for so long, and there's like never been any evidence as to what's going on. Which is why I go with the simple explanation is probably the correct explanation.
yeah, Occam's razor.
You know?
Occam's razor. Simplest explanation is usually correct. And I agree with both of you.
It'd probably be aliens. It'd probably be aliens coming down and slicing the animals up for body parts or something.
I agree with both of you, but for me, here a theory that sort of encompasses everything here, and I've heard this only one other time, and so it's not originally mine, but I buy into it a little more. Is there is a door to? It's like a doorway to different dimensions. So that cave that these people have seen. The little puckwudgies or these other sort of cryptids, Bigfoots, chupacabra, whatever, kind of disappear into and not to be seen again for a long time, is sort of a doorway into dimensions where some of these cryptids never, because a lot of cryptids actually did exist and then just went extinct. Some are, we don't know if they ever existed, but some did. And so it brings you to a reality where these either never did go extinct or they did exist. It can kind of describe, you would think if you're a doorway to a different dimension, there would be magnetic fields and poles and radiation and stuff like that as well, because you're going to alternate dimension. UFOs, well, that's a little different, but this, the cattle mutilation, is it something coming from another dimension that, and it's part of some sort of ritual or something. So that's where that's my favorite theory. Now,
wouldn't it be awesome to find a doorway to another dimension? That'd be so cool.
Be so cool.
We have to go to the ranch, find that dimension, find that doorway. Come on, Shay, go call him up.
I feel like Tom won the show. That is my absolute favorite theory. I don't know how I missed that. That's amazing. Yep. Yeah. That's where I am now. I love that. That's amazing.
That would explain everything.
And I heard that on a podcast like years ago, and I'm listening to, or a year ago or so, and I'm listening, and there was some other theories, she was throwing out a bunch of them, and I heard that, and I was like, okay, I've never really been into alternate dimensions and stuff, and never really even thought about it, but I was like, wow, I like that one. That was my thoughts. You know what? Something that we never even talked about during this was we never really defined what a skinwalker is. So a skinwalker is it's a type of harmful witch who has the ability to turn into, possess, or disguise themselves as an animal. So that's the official definition. But I just thought of it as we're going. Like I should have said that at the top.
Like a Wendigo.
Just like a Wendigo. Exactly.
Sorry.
We're gonna have to buy Shay a Wendigo. I'm gonna find one. Wendigo. And I'm gonna find out what he eats. I'm gonna bring him to your house. Here you go, Shay.
I'm cool with that. I will name him Harry. 'Cause-
Even Harry the Wendigo.
or Wendy if it's a girl, maybe.
Well,
Yeah.
Wendy the
Oh,
Wendigo?
that's good, Wendy. Yeah,
I
I
like
like
it, right?
that.
Wendigo.
I like that.
All right.
All right.
You guys got anything else?
Yeah, that's what I'm gonna say. Anything else?
No.
This is a very good episode.
It went. Yeah, this is I think our longest episode to date too. Normally we're right around a half hour always. So
Half hour to 45 minutes.
yeah.
Yeah. It's a good episode though.
Yeah.
All right.
What are we discussing next week?
Oh yes.
Have we done a haunting in Connecticut yet?
No.
Yeah, we can do that.
How do we feel about that?
I'm up for anything.
I am too.
I love that.
Me too. I love that story.
Yeah, let's do it. Haunted in Connecticut.
Yeah, that'd be great.
All right,
Cool.
let me write that down here.
Yeah, I gotta write it down too. Haunting. All right.
Haunting in Connecticut.
So a really cool thing just happened on the cameras, by the way, Tom. You put something down to your left, and Roy just picked something up to his right, and it looks like you guys just passed something to each other.
Really?
Cool.
From what I can see, yeah, it was wicked funny.
That's cool.
$25, a haunting in Connecticut. All right. So I'm going to end the show unless you guys have something else you want to add.
No, I'm good.
All right. All right, guys. Thank you for listening to our episode today. If you're watching on YouTube, like and subscribe. If you're listening to our podcast, you can go to our website and get more episodes at www.podpage.com, the Weekly Paranormal Show. You can find us on Spotify, iHeartRadio, iTunes, or whatever it's called now. If you're watching on Apple, you have to follow us. It's free. It doesn't cost anything. There's no more subscribe. Make sure you comment on our show if you're on Apple and like it and tell us how great we are and how you love us so much and that you want us to do more because it helps the show. So thank you for listening. For Tom and Shay, see you guys next week when we discuss the haunting in Connecticut.
Bye.
See ya.
Guys.
Bye-bye.